Hello there, it's your favorite half Japanese, half Pakistani. In today's video, we will be reacting to one of Alina Hayat's video called Living Inside a Bubble or Living in Pakistan, Outside or Inside the Bubble. How I remembered to react or watch this video again is because someone commented on my videos, said, why don't you collaborate with Alina Hayat because she's half Russian and half Pakistani? And I was like, wait, she's half Russian, half Pakistani? I knew she was half, but I didn't know she was Russian. I assumed she was from New Zealand, so I thought she might be from, like, you know, half New Zealandish or something. I don't know, half, what do you call them? Kiwis. Kiwis, yes. I thought she was a half Kiwi. Half Kiwi. Then I went to her channel to just see around and I was like, oh yeah, she made this video. So, like this Living in Pakistan one, and why not react to it? So here I am. So instead of waffling, let's begin the reaction.
Friends back home in New Zealand probably think I live in a tent and ride around on a gadagari because every time I talk to them, they ask me the weirdest questions about my life in Pakistan.
So how's Pakistan?
It's alright, I mean,
It's alright.
it's Pakistan.
What
How do you get to school? Wait, do you see like tanks on the road?
It's not martial law, man. It's not.
Drinking water?
It's not about army. Actually, you know, when I used to go to my school, there was a tank, but it was a stationary tank. It was like a decoration tank.
Yeah.
So like, are you gonna get arranged marriage still? Like, is your dad gonna get you married?
I guess when you're living abroad, you tend to assume the worst of a third world country. And really, I can't blame them because before I moved here, for the most part, I thought the same things. So I'm gonna show you guys how I really live in Pakistan.
Ooh.
Like everything else, when we first moved to Pakistan, we spent a really long time looking for a place to live. Now we needed some place that wasn't noisy, that wasn't dirty, and that wasn't rushy. So we decided to move to defense.
But what is defense?
A bubble.
What am I defending myself from? The tanks?
Now defense is kind of a suburb. Actually, no, it's not really a suburb.
But whatever it is, it's one of the areas in Karachi that is considered better in terms of living. Now, I'm not saying that defense is the only good
It's like
area
Kent
Karachi,
in
because
most of the
there are quite a
cities.
few other areas and complexes which are also of quite a decent standard. But I guess just in my opinion, moving to defense was just a smoother transition for foreigners and people who spend their whole lives living abroad.
Okay, understanding defense is like science, alright? Like, basically, it's like this big area called defense. And
The
it's
next
divided into
artist.
sectors. Each sector is called a phase. Each phase is like an upgraded version of the previous phase. And there's currently 8 phases. Think of it like an iPhone. So phase 1 is like the iPhone 1. And then phase 8 is like the latest one with all the new features.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thing is, I haven't lived in a big city in Pakistan. The only city I've lived in is Sialkot. Yeah, so I'm from a small city. But I don't want to show off, but I have lived in Tokyo and London. But in Pakistan, I've lived in Sialkot. So yeah. But it's a good city, I'm not gonna lie.
I only liked phase 8 the most because it ticked all of our boxes.
Georgie! That's some Georgie in the background. Nice. Love it.
Now, I know that a lot of people don't actually like living in phase 8, and that's because it's relatively new and really underdeveloped and underpopulated. The locals of Karachi, they love their hustle and bustle, so I totally get it. But not for us, because coming from a street that would go to sleep at 6 p.m, phase 8 was like the closest we could get to our home in New Zealand. There's not a lot to do
Fair.
in phase 8, honestly. Like, all we really have are just a bunch of empty roads.
And would you look at that? Not even a single tank on any of the roads.
We have a cinema, so you can
There is not gonna be any tanks. Like, Pakistan is not under army. Pakistan is a normal country. Other than the corruption that has happened in the past. Most years, that is. Yeah, okay, I see why.
movies, but what's more entertaining are the Mela boys who love coming to phase 8 on a Sunday to have photo shoots.
Oh, I know this kind of people. In Kent, if you're living in Kent, people out from outside the Kent will come. Oh, मैं Kent चला. When someone asks where you are, oh, मैं Kent yaar. You know, and that feeling, they're like so proud that we are like taking pictures in Kent. I understand that.
Also, phase 8 is right by the sea, and if you know me, you know that I love the sea. Since moving, I've been coming here a lot whenever I need a break or just need to clear my head. The neighborhoods are safe too.
It looks
Every house
good.
has a watchman, even though I'm
Coast.
still not that convinced that watchmen are very useful. But I guess it's the same as when people put up beware of dog signs, even if they don't have a dog, just to like scare people away.
It's my clean.
I mean, the watchman was wearing red, so he's intimidating already.
My favorite.
So just on the note of
Eh? Wait, I can see some.
Pure.
I see something written in Japanese there. Karada ni yasashi. I mean, it's the same translation, polite to the body.
Pure. Best water. My favorite.
So just on the note of water,
When we first came to Pakistan, I literally hated the taste of water. It just had such a bad aftertaste, and I just could not stand it. I know that a bunch of you guys are probably gonna attack me for this and be like,
यार filter वाला पानी पियो ना
Yes,
फिर.
it does. And the water here did not taste good, and I didn't like it. Like, we went through so many brands of like these like filtered those thingy, and eventually we found Pure and Cure. And it wasn't just water, it was milk too. I hate the taste of milk here. I was literally
I understand that because milk is directly taken from the cows instead of being processed. So you have to, in order to drink it, you need to boil it instead. It's not like a supermarket milk, but yeah, it's just directly. It's fresher, but it's got that taste as well of, you know, not like it's not fresh taste. It's like the cow taste because it's not processed. You know what I mean? I don't have to explain it.
the kind of person who drank more milk than water. And then we moved here, I stopped drinking milk. And that's because milk here literally tastes like cow. I get
Exactly, that's what I mean.
I don't want my milk to taste like cow. But anyway, we found a solution to our milk problem and our cow problem.
That's fine.
We found a solution
You get used to it.
to our milk problem and our water problem. So
Just buy some cartons, mate.
stay fresh, like New Zealand cows, and pure and pure New Zealand water. It's, you know, it's the little things that you have to adjust to.
So about a 5-minute drive away, there's
That was
Phases 6
a
and
bit
5.
loud. Sorry, bit loud. I have to reduce that.
This is probably where I, along with every other defense kid, spends most of the time. There's lots of cute cafes and restaurants.
Nando's. There's Nando's in Pakistan?
Pretty convenient.
I didn't know there was
Everyone
Nando's in
drives around
Pakistan.
on their own.
Wait, what? That's one of my favorite restaurants to eat at here. I mean, I don't know how they taste in Pakistan, but that's one of my favorite restaurants.
Has a driver to drive them around.
It's like pretty British thing, right? Basically, you go to Nando's. Mom, I'm going to Nando's, and then you're like, yeah, and you have the peri peri chicken.
And no one ever really feels unsafe in these places. Stepping into these places, they're always so nice looking that I almost forget I'm even sitting in Pakistan. So you see, most people I know live pretty comfortably and enjoy
Oh,
quality
boy.
lifestyles.
Yo,
I get by just fine, and so does everybody else I know. So screw the media for portraying an exaggerated, underprivileged lifestyle that isn't half as bad as they make it seem to be. Screw the media for creating misconceptions about the third world, because that's all it is, right? Just a misconception. Well, actually,
yeah, exactly. There is the other side as well to it, and you need to acknowledge that.
the only misconception here is that I don't live an exaggerated, underprivileged life. I live at a relatively decent standard. So do most of the other people around me, yes. But all of us here are kind of just living in a bubble called defense. When I talk about a
Exactly.
defense lifestyle, I mean it.
I completely agree because, you know, there's like one part of the city that's like called something. For example, in Sialkot it's cantonment, and maybe other cities I know also has cant and defense or whatever they call it. And then it's the other part of the city. It's like crowded, pollution, and like, you know, underdeveloped. You don't have the nice facilities. I understand that.
More so as a concept of the middle upper class lifestyle rather than the actual proximity of where people live. There's a very apparent class division that you don't even have to go to the edge of defense to find. Usually it's just the thin glass of your car window dividing you from the
Well, I need to get a tissue. I don't know, my nose is really runny today. when I wake up, my nose is really runny. So, to get a tissue. Right, I'm back.
Arms, it's not even that.
Do you have a maid, driver, or guard?
Yes, I have a maid and a driver and a guard. Yes.
Do you have a maid, a driver, or
Okay. Makes sense. I actually never thought about this. You know, people, my friends who I used to be with used to have maid, driver, and a guard. Not a guard. I don't know about the guard, but maybe they did. But for me, I thought it was a normal thing. I mean, we didn't have one. I didn't have any driver, guard, or anything like, because my family would do that. Everything, like, you know, my aunt would cook, my uncle would take me to school, and yeah, and sometimes like if you're in Japan or UK, you do it yourself. Everything, like cook yourself, like you go to school yourself, because I don't know. You walk to school, I suppose, most of the times. But yeah, it's just, I never thought about this contrast until you actually pointed out. So yeah.
A guard or a driver?
Roti. Shanaz.
मैं बहुत खुश हूँ इस घर से काम करते हुए और मैं यही चाहती हूँ कि दिल आपका भी या पाकिस्तान में
Aww, wholesome.
मैं करंगी में रहती हूँ आबादी में नई आबादी में मतलब डबल किराया लगता है बहुत महंगाई है लेकिन मैं फिर भी इस बारे में खुश हूँ चलो अल्लाह का ताला का शुक्र है
Yeah, just go and pass it though. Give her more money.
और देख
So
ठीक है
the not renting the car, what is it called? Like paying for the car or the bus, she has to pay like nothing. You just pay for her basically as well.
और सुना दीजिए कैसी ज़िंदगी बसर की है
ठीक है, फिर हम आपके घर आएंगे।
ओके
So now let's go see life outside the bubble.
And we're gonna watch the second part as well.
In Pakistan from my perspective, and how it's quite different to the negative stereotypes that people tend to have when they live abroad. However, that was only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to living in Pakistan. So I went to see life outside the bubble. I'm on my way to Shanaz's house.
I need these kind of videos on YouTube more.
House help. They're kind of like little fairies. You leave your house a complete mess,
Roti
and
thodi
then
si jali
you
hui
come
hai.
back, suddenly it's just magically sparkling clean. There's so much a part of our day-to-day lives, yet
Dekho.
they also go so unnoticed. This is Shanaz, and she's the maid who works at my house. I never had a maid before when I lived in New Zealand, and I never had someone do my household chores for me either. But after coming here, I learned that having a maid is about as normal as, I don't know, having furniture. Our maids know the ins and outs of how we live, but how often have we given a thought about how they live? Honestly, I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah. It's like a mohalla kind of thing where they live, I suppose. Mohalla is in area specifically that is tightly knit together. Oh, that music is a bit loud. Sorry. A lot of bass.
There are 3 rooms where she lives. Each room has a separate family living in it. This room here is Shanaz's. This is where she stays with her husband, her grown-up son, and sometimes even her niece and nephew.
क्योंकि मैं सुबह 5:30 बजे उठती हूँ उठ के दुआ करती हूँ
5:30 5:30 a.m. mate. Is it 5:30?
अपनी शॉप के बारे फिर काम करके फिर मैं गाड़ी पे 8:30 बजे बैठती हूँ
A journey
Sato.
that took me about 30 minutes by car usually takes Shanaz about an hour, sometimes 2 hours on a daily basis because she has to use
Fair.
public transport such as rickshaws or buses.
आने के आके भी फिर काम करना इसलिए मैं यही कोशिश करती थोड़ा सी जल्दी चली जाऊँ, घर का भी समेटना होता है, 8-9 बज जाते हैं। वो फैक्ट्री में करता है, फैक्ट्री में करता है। 20 दिन की उन्होंने तबाह।
I understand. Yeah, usually, yeah, the insight towards their family. I have been to this kind of place actually. We did have a maid. We didn't have, as I said, we didn't have a driver or a guard or someone who cooks, but we did have 1 or 2 maids. And I remember we went to their place when I think one of their relatives or son died because of some accident, and I saw this specific place and how long it takes for you to get to that, like from there to over place, because they work in that area. And even though Sialkot is a small city, it still takes 1 hour because they have to walk instead of taking transport, because taking transport in Sialkot is also impossible because it's so freaking crowded. And also it's expensive. Oh, light aa gayi.
The power
Light
goes
talking.
out in Shanaz's area multiple times in 24
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
It goes
I know.
for such long periods of time. If you live in Pakistan, you know that the power goes out from time to time. It goes out even in my area. But when it goes out here, it's usually just for like maybe an hour or so. And even just that 1 hour with no power in summertime literally feels like a glimpse of hell. I can't even imagine like falling asleep without an AC in this heat, let alone without a fan.
दूसरा नहाने का ना वो 4 दिन के बाद फिर उसको भी आस्ते आस्ते कम इस्तेमाल करना होता है कि भाई 4 दिन हमारे अच्छे गुजर जाएं.
It's a shame.
Yeah, all of these things you don't tend to think until you think about it. I mean, it's really obvious, but it's just you don't think about this kind of stuff. And I'm also amazed that I didn't think that much about it, because my life from all these previous years have been different because I have moved to UK. And even when I was going back and forth from Japan to Pakistan, I was never realizing that much of I never noticed this kind of stuff. Load shedding, yeah, is the main thing. But yeah, okay. This video is opening my eyes a little bit more.
They live with the bare minimum as it is, and on top of that, they don't even get consistent electricity. That makes me so angry because they're so poor that we're made to believe that this is what they deserve. But it's not their fault.
Yeah, it's not their fault.
मेरे को हो गया 22
It's the society.
पहले बिल्कुल ही नहीं निकलती थी, नाम मुझे पता नहीं. लेकिन मेरे जेठ ने इतना फ्रॉड हमारे साथ मारा, हमारा घर बिक चुका. बहुत मुश्किल में मैं आ गई.
Family politics is one of the worst things in Pakistan.
बहुत परेशानी
Yeah,
हुई.
yep.
फिर भेज दिया. फिर मेरे लड़के ने इतनी मेरे से टेंशन ली, इतनी टेंशन ली, उसका दिमाग आउट हो गया. 8 साल के बाद.
Anything about mental health, mental issues needs to have more awareness in these type of countries, because this is also one of the major issues that people don't realize that people have.
फिर उसकी शादी की, लेकिन वो शादी की ना, इसकी दूसरी शादी की, क्योंकि वो लूटने वाले लोग थे. उन्होंने हमारे साथ अच्छा नहीं किया. मेरे सतीले जो बहन भाई थे, शादी की, अच्छी खासी सब कुछ किया. हमें तो ये पता ही नहीं था कि ये धोखा करेंगे हमारे साथ.
Then I asked
Yeah.
Shanaz what their biggest
As I said, family problems.
Zaini continued to tell me about how she loves makeup and beauty and hair and nails and all that stuff. And talking to Zaini, it made me think of my own sister.
She's normal, just a normal
15 years
girl.
old, and who also is obsessed with makeup and nails and hair and
करती और कुछ नहीं करना, क्योंकि इनके ऊपर भी बहुत गरीबी है. देन वो है ना, एडमिशन नहीं दिवा सकते अभी तक. मैं यही पसंद है, क्योंकि मैं जो अपना इंशाल्लाह ताला घर बन गया, जो जगह ली थी उसको अभी बस इसका 40,000 है. मैं यही चाहती हूँ चली जाऊँ, घर बना लें. अल्लाह ताला मदद करेगा.
Oftentimes while she's working, we talk. She shares stories about her
Aww.
husband, her relatives, her past, her children. Sometimes all people want is just someone to listen.
Exactly.
जब भी परेशानी मेरे ऊपर आई है या कुछ भी सी मैं बस उठ के दुआ करनी शुरू अपने बाप को याद करती थी अपने गॉड को याद करती थी और बहन भाइयों ने मेरे सही मुझे दाव लगाया है लेकिन मैं कहती हूँ मेरे बहन भाई सब जड़े ख़त्म हो गए और तेरा मेरी छोटी बहन है और लड़का मेरा भाई है जब मैं इंतकाल करती हूँ मैं यही समझूंगी तो वो मेरे सामने आ गए मैं ये नहीं कभी सोचूंगी आज मेरा बहन भाई होता या कुछ होता मेरे साथ खड़े होते मैं यही सोचती तो मेरे है तो सही है ना बेटी की जगह तो बहन बन गई हैं 2 भाई की जगह पे बेटा आ गया शोहर मेरा इतना होशियार चलाक नहीं है उसका ये बात थी बीवी को डांटें बीवी के ऊपर रोक जमाएं बीवी को ये करें बीवी को ये वो करें आज मैं अपनी मंजिल पे पहले शुरू से निकली होती या गवर्नमेंट की जॉब करती तो आज मैं अपने बच्चों को अच्छी तलीम दिलाती ये कहती हूँ हर लड़की
And do make your children pursue that dream. Don't let them follow the same route you did. And they know the pain, so they will do so. But the problem is the social mobility is really slow in Pakistan, and it's really hard to get up the ladder of social mobility. Social mobility meaning getting from like low working class, like being really poor, to like working class, middle class, and upper class, upper middle class, and upper class, and the elite class. You know, it's really hard to get up there without having, you know, inheritance or that kind of sort of money already behind you. Like you need a family that's already been rich in the past.
ये होना चाहिए तो मजबूत हर लड़के को ये होना चाहिए तो जब मेरी शादी हो गई है ये ना सोचे हम ये ऐसे करे अपनी मंजिल जड़ी अच्छी हासिल करें.
Yeah.
She told me that her life was not always like this.
Exactly.
She had
Thumbs up.
opportunities in the past, but sadly her husband wasn't educated and never supported her or allowed her to educate her children either. Out of the kindness and respect in her heart, she obeyed him, and now she regrets not doing more when she had the chance.
Individuality.
Crazy, but
When you say I want to be individualistic, I want to be like an individual, people are like, oh, you're so selfish. And there's such a hypocrisy. Because other people who are taking benefit out of you are the individualistic one. They are the one. They are on the surface. They show we are really social, like we are like, you know, good relations with people. And when they have that good relationship, they take benefit out of you. But when you want to say, oh, I want to be individualistic, I want to lead my own life, I want to make my own decisions. No. Your family must make decisions for you. Everything that happens is in control of family, like husband, mother, father. I mean, it's fine, mother and father, you have to respect. But sometimes you have to make their own decision. I am blessed. My parents let me make my own decision because they didn't know I have my own life. And if I make bad decisions, it's that I will regret it myself, not like her, for example, Shanaz. She could have made decisions and now she regretted, but I don't think it's her fault. It's just like the situation she was in. But if I make a, you know, bad decision, that's my own doing. But in Pakistan, it's really hard to do so because everyone thinks that you're selfish. But it's the other people who are selfish because they are trying to take benefit out of you. You know, benefit like fayda uthana. You know, that's what I mean.
I think many of us can relate to similar situations like these even in our own lives today.
अच्छा काम मिला है मेरा टाइम अच्छा
Actually, better word, taking benefit of you instead of taking benefit out of you.
जाता है गुजारा जैसा भी आप पूछे
That was a really crazy experience. Beyond anything I've ever seen before in my life. These are all things that perhaps I would have never noticed or even thought about had I stayed in New Zealand these past 2 years. In my life, I never really felt class difference before I moved here. It's just something that I was never exposed to. I've never grown up in a society where the class distinction is so apparent. For me, this was just like a one-off trip, you know, to a different side of town. But for her, it's like, it's her everyday life, you know, this is her reality, this is her everyday. We all have dreams, we all feel sorrows, we feel betrayals, and we all feel love. But we just get put into these different life circumstances. And rather than constantly creating a divide by picking on these differences between us, we need to shed more light on the things that make us one. If we can start to see the people in front of us as human and put aside these man-made labels that have been created, we'll be able to see that beyond color, beyond ethnicity, religion, class, gender, there is a human with stories, a human with emotions, a human with feelings just like yours.
Just like us.
If we're able to do that, then we're able to bring about change in this world.
Great video. But the problem is, people will watch this video and then forget about it, never implement these ideas. Even including myself, while I make this video, I'm gonna forget about it. But just remember one thing. You don't have to implement that much, but just treat these people with kindness. Like they're the same people, like they're from inside. They're humans, they have the same emotions as you. So treating them politely, with kindness, even giving them one smile will make their day. That's, I think, what we should do, instead of implementing too big of a thing, oh, I'm gonna, start a fund or raise this fund for these kind of people. You cannot do that. There's so many of these people in Pakistan, you cannot help all of them. So instead of doing that, you can start by doing something small, just by being kind to them. And when you have the ability to do so, help these kind of people, then do. Anyhow, this is a really long video because I'm making a long reaction to this, and it's a really important topic, the bubble, inside and outside. Hope you guys enjoyed this reaction, and I will see you guys whenever I'm free. I'm sorry for reducing my frequency of videos, but that's what I have to do. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and hit that notification button. I will see you in the next video. Until then, ja matane.